Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com, when all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into the NFL Opening Line Report schedule episode. I am Drew Martin, joined by Teddy Covers. We're breaking down the NFL schedule. Just came out this past week, and we'll give you some matchups, some looks, maybe some spots you want to get on sooner rather than later. Happy Monday morning out there to you. Reminder, it is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All plays just discounted to just $9. Monday, May 16th, Teddy, and we're breaking down the NFL schedule, man. Welcome in. Happy Monday morning to you.
Yeah, I mean, it comes earlier and earlier every year, and we have already come up with the date for this year's NFL season win report, and I keep pushing it earlier, and I'm pushing it earlier for a reason, because the markets are moving earlier. So the date for this year's NFL season win report, I can tell you the date and the time, Friday, June 24th, 11 a.m. Pacific. That report will be released. Again, it's 94 and 44 lifetime. I started doing this in 2001. And I've got 94 and 44 with these releases, including a 15-3 mark with the 5% big ticket plays. So report will be available next month. And that, to me, the kickoff for football season. But there's so much to talk about with the schedules. Obviously, schedules got released this past Thursday. And from a team-specific standpoint, I think there's, 9 teams I want to talk about. But we're also going to talk about, from a divisional standpoint, some divisions we want to be betting on, some divisions we want to be betting against, based solely on strength of schedule issue.
Yeah, guys, going division, some teams, 6 or 7 teams we're going to be breaking down. Got a question for Teddy concerning the Christmas Day schedule, which I haven't even bounced off him. Want to get his live reaction because I think I'm onto something here. But guys, we're going over it all. And Teddy, I want to start off here, division, I guess strength of schedule. What do you want to do, like AFC East down and who they're playing and how it's going to go off?
No, I want the Christmas question first because now I'm thinking about it.
Do you really?
Let's say what?
All right.
Yeah.
All right, look at, I was doing a show with our friend Mark Zeno, and he brought this up to me. I'm going to bounce it off of you because you know the NFL betting market as good as anybody I know. So normally we think about the NFL in Thanksgiving being a huge day, and then Christmas, kind of that's NBA when they go more towards the mainstream, I feel. Look what the NFL did this season, Teddy. And do you think it's a little bit of conspiracy theory, the double middle finger to the NBA, like, hey, we're king, you're way behind us? When you think about the NBA, you think what, like maybe the Lakers, maybe the Heat this year, you're talking with the Bucks, teams like that, the Suns are very good. Look what the NFL did. Packers at the Dolphins, 1:00 on Christmas Day. We got the Broncos at the Rams, middle game on Christmas Day, and the Buccaneers at the Cardinals in the nightcap on Christmas Day. Do you think they did that on purpose to say, hey, NBA, you're trying to kind of reel us in here? No, it's not happening. Look at the marquee matchups they put on Christmas Day. Or do you think there's nothing actually to that?
Well, I don't think that the NFL is going to concede an NFL Sunday to anybody. And it's a Sunday, Christmas Day. Okay? So the fact that the NFL, which in years past has made it, we want to make real sure we don't have a whole lot of games on Sunday. This year, NFL, the Christmas Day is on Sunday. And the NFL is like, screw you guys. Is it a middle finger to the NBA? Probably. But the NFL gets to do whatever the NFL wants because the NFL is the biggest, got the biggest jock in town. It is there's some of this is a middle finger to the NBA for sure, but it's not just a middle finger to the NBA. It's the NFL doing whatever the NFL wants to do, and the NFL owns a whole lot of TV times. They're trying to own another one. Okay, but fair enough. We're not going to see NBA games on Christmas when Christmas falls on a Tuesday, where we'll still see NBA games on Christmas when Christmas falls on a Tuesday, but it happens to be a Sunday.
I gotcha. Yeah, I didn't realize it was on a Sunday, but no, good stuff to start here, Teddy. What are we thinking? Start off division by division and what they're playing and how that's affecting each team. So, what AFC
Absolutely.
East?
Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah, let's start with AFC East. Okay, from a divisional standpoint, all right. I ranked them into weaker divisions versus stronger divisions based on this year's season win total. The weaker divisions: AFC South, NFC East, NFC South, and frankly, NFC North, which hasn't been in that category in recent years, but both Minnesota and Chicago look to be not all that much better than Detroit this year. So we've got 4 relatively weak divisions: AFC South, and then 3 in the NFC. We have 4 relatively strong divisions. AFC West is loaded. AFC North is good. NFC West is loaded. AFC East, which has been a down division in recent years, when you look at the Jets getting better, Miami line is a above 500 team. New England line is a 500 team. All of a sudden, the AFC East, for me at least, has shifted categories this year. They've gone into one of the tougher divisions. So we have 4 tougher divisions and 4 weaker divisions right out of the get-go. When we break down each team's opposing each division and who they're playing division-wise across the league, there are 3 that stand out. I'm going to give you all 8, and then we'll highlight on the 3. So the AFC East will play AFC North teams, NFC North teams, and the 17th game comes against an NFC West team that's based exclusively on what the records were last year. And, of course, the NFC West is a brutal division. So the AFC East has it a little bit tough schedule-wise, but not nearly as tough as some of the other teams. AFC South faces the AFC West and the NFC East with an NFC North 17th game. That's not tough. That's average. AFC North faces the AFC East, which is tougher this year. The NFC South, which is, the AFC East is still, I put them in the tougher category, but they're not one of the toughest of the bunch. And the AFC South, the NFC South as well, which is not one of the tougher ones, and the NFC East. So bottom line for AFC North teams, this is actually getting, I'm not doing this very well. Let me highlight the 3 divisions that stand out.
Okay, yeah, let's do it that way.
It's
getting hard to connect the dots.
Yeah, it's really hard to decipher. The 3 divisions that stand out are the AFC North. Okay, they face an easier than average schedule. AFC North teams, we're going to be looking to play over the total because of who their opponents are. NFC East teams, they face the AFC South and the NFC North, both of whom I have as a down division. So the NFC East teams are teams that face a weaker than average schedule. I'll be looking to bet on those teams in season win total. NFC South is the 3rd division that really stands out. All right, the NFC South isn't good to begin with. All right, they face the AFC North, which is tough, and the NFC West, which is tough. Their 17th game comes against the AFC West, which is tough. NFC South teams, tough the whole way. NFC South teams, a priori, we're looking to bet under their win totals. Their schedules are going to be very tough. So AFC North and NFC East have slightly easier than average schedules. NFC South teams have tougher than average schedules. So certainly the 2 NFC divisions in my mind are the strongest of the 2. NFC East teams, I want to be betting overs. NFC South teams, I want to be betting unders.
Teddy, I like that breakdown a lot, man. And as a sports bettor, my follow-up question to you would be, anytime I hear fade, bet on is a good thing, but more people know about that. Whenever you can kind of pick out teams and it's like, hey, I'm looking to make money going against this team, tends to ride under the radar a little bit longer. That's kind of my advice out there to new sports bettors in this type of handicapping, which is good. It can be very profitable here. So you bring up NFC South fade. That's, of course, the Tampa Bay Bucks, the New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, and the Carolina Panthers. I'm going to guess that the Tampa Bay Bucks aren't exactly circled as bet under, although maybe they are. But the Tom Brady and company, I don't know. The other 3 teams, I got to think they're on your short list here. The New Orleans Saints, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, just question marks. Although some people thinking the Saints might be a bet on, 9-8 last season. what are the divisions they're playing again? The NFC South, and how does that schedule exactly work? Do they play every team in that division they're playing against?
So the way an NFL schedule works, all right, each team is in a division with 3 other teams, 4 teams per division. They're going to play home and home with their division mates. That's 6 games. You're going to play 4 teams from one division in your conference and 4 teams from one division in the other conference. So there's 6 division games, and then the 8 games against the 2 divisions that I'm talking about here. The 17th game, everyone gets one additional game against a team from the other conference, and the other 2 games are based on results from last year, and they can be random who the other 2 opponents are. So the biggest pieces of the schedule are the 6 division games, and then the 2 divisions they're going to play, 4 teams each, which equates to 14 of the 17 games. Does that answer your question?
It does, but I guess just one quick follow-up. Where are you placed in your division? I thought it mattered in terms of your scheduling the next year. So the Carolina Panthers would play, like, I guess those other 2 games you're talking about, last place.
The 3 other 3 games.
Okay.
Yes. So there's 2 other games, and then there's one. The 17th game comes against a specific division from the other conference. So a team that finished in last place last year will get 3 other last place teams from last year in those final 3 games. But as you know, last year isn't this year. So some of the last place teams from last year could be a whole lot better in 2022. And some of the last place teams are bottom feeders. You know, some of the last place teams are the Ravens and the Browns. You know what I mean? Not bottom feeders. Yeah. Huge difference. The Broncos were a last place team last year. So there's a handful of last place teams that aren't necessarily going to be last place teams in 2022. That's what you want to pay attention to. But yes, the team that finished in the last place of the division will get 3 games against other last place teams from last year. But again, some of those last place teams are going to be a whole lot better.
Sure, absolutely. And guys, to that point, I mean, New Orleans is going to be a second place team playing that tough schedule. Then Atlanta 3rd place and Carolina 4th place. But you got to do a little bit more digging, to Teddy's point there. You can't, you got to go under the hood a little bit more. It's not just where you finished last year. And actually, a good time to maybe bring up, Teddy, you're the one that taught me this. Use this year's season win totals as power ratings, not last year's standings, right? It's a kind of a better way to go about it.
It's night and day. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, if you use mainstream strength of schedule numbers, you will have no success against the markets. You won't find any. You may find stuff. I'm not convinced it'll be profitable for you. Okay.
Right.
Now, I'm 94 and 44 doing this for the last 20 years, and the methodology is very simple. All right. You don't look at last year's records. You look at this year's season win totals. That tells you how good the teams are supposed to be. And you can make adjustments off of that, I make adjustments off of this year's win totals all the time because I'm like, here, I have a short list, like I do with everything. I make short lists, and on the win total short list, how many over teams do you face on my short list? How many under teams do you face on my short list? That matters in my world. If you have a short list and you're facing a bunch of teams, even with this year's numbers factored in, that I'm still looking to play under, a bunch of teams that I don't think are that good. Well, now this team, even with the strength of schedule that may look a little bit tougher, there's still a team I want to be betting over, and vice versa. So strength of schedule is a big piece of the equation, but it's got to be strength of schedule based on 2022, not based on last year.
Guys, I can already tell this episode is going to be one of those, it pays to listen. It already is, I feel like, learning from Teddy's analysis, and we're about to go over some teams here. Talking about short lists, guys, you want to be looking out for Teddy's NFL season win total package. Teddy just went over the numbers. It's one of the most profitable packages in this industry, guys. It's something I'm going to be betting. And it's not only about the wins and losses, which are great. It's about the analysis you get going into the season to really help you week to week betting the NFL. So, Teddy, let's go over some of these teams team by team. We got 7 or 8 of them here. I guess we can start off just with the Buffalo Bills, top of the AFC East last year, 11-6. They were 9-6-2. I have them against the spread and slight under trenders. Buffalo Bills for their, I guess, NFL schedule episode. Teddy, what'd you want to throw out there about the Bills?
That their schedule is freaking brutal, and there's no way you can bet this team over the total.
Okay, I like it.
Buffalo is priced like the winner of the Super Bowl. They're priced right now as the best team in the NFL, or one of the 2 or 3 best teams in the NFL. And you look at the slate. I mean, they open up against the Chargers. You got the Titans at home, at Miami, at Baltimore, Pittsburgh at home, at KC, Green Bay. That's a tough slate. And then it gets a little bit easier down the stretch. They do have a little bit. They have Cleveland at home and Minnesota at home and at Detroit, and they have the Jets at home, Miami at home, and at Chicago. Much easier mid-season stretch for Buffalo. But again, this team's got to go win a dozen games for you to cash an over bet with them. And of course, they close out the last 2 weeks at Cincy and then the Patriots. Bills have a tough schedule at the top, and I'm not convinced they're going to get off to an elite start. And that may well, a hard team for me to bet over the total.
That's a good look there. I wouldn't have thought that at the top. Just talking about the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen, the way that they looked last year. But you make a lot of good points, guys. This sports betting thing is just not look at the team and how sexy they are. You got to dig a little deeper, which Teddy does very well. We got the LA Rams up next here, Teddy. 12-5 last year. 8-9 against the spread during the regular season, that is, and slight over trenders. What are we thinking with the Rams this upcoming year?
Yeah, the Rams are another team that has a really tough schedule. First place team from last year in a very tough division, and the NFC West faces 2 other tough divisions. Look at what they do down the stretch. I mean, it's not brutal early. They have Buffalo week 1, and then it's reasonable. But San Fran, at Tampa, Arizona, at New Orleans, at KC, a little bit of a break. Seattle and Vegas at home, at Green Bay. Division game, Denver, at LA. That's tough for the Rams. And they're the defending Super Bowl champs. They get everyone's best shot all year. Rams are another team based on how the schedule plays out, how it lays out, I should say. Makes me real reluctant to bet that team over the total. Can't do it. Not going to get there. LA's under or pass for me.
Right off the top, selling high on some of these teams. I like it, Teddy. Bills, Rams. I would have thought coming in, maybe bet on. But, Teddy, you're making some great points here schedule-wise. Hey, maybe pump the brakes on that, guys. We got the Atlanta Falcons up next, 7-10 last season. Money losers, seen them 6-11 against the spread and slight under trenders as well. Hey, just went over what we've gone over so far in the show. I'm thinking this might be Fade City. However, Teddy, I don't know, Marcus Mariota was kind of thinking to maybe bet on them, but I'm thinking you're talking me off of that right now. What are we thinking about the Dirty Birds?
So you have a rebuilding team that's coming in with quarterback questions. In a best case scenario, in a bet on scenario, that team's going to face some weak opponents early, let the new QB kind of figure out his way. Well, Atlanta opens with the Saints. They got the Chargers at Seattle. Seattle's going to win some games. Cleveland at Tampa, San Fran, at Cincy. That's their first 7 weeks. What are they? 0-7, 1-6. We cannot bet them over. Now, it does ease up late, and there may be a ton of residual value on Atlanta. Later in the season, they got Carolina twice, and Chicago and Washington. It does ease up for them mid-season. November might be a real attractive month to be betting on the Atlanta Falcons after they got crushed in September and October. But in terms of season wins, when you have a rebuilding team facing a tough early slate, that means it's a rebuilding season. Atlanta's a one-way team. We're betting them over, or we're not playing them in the win total market. I'm sorry, under. I made that very clear. We're playing them under, or we're not going to play them in the season win total market.
I like it, Teddy. Hey, I'm making some notes here, guys. Maybe look to bet the Atlanta Falcons later in the season. Ugly record, maybe getting a lot of extra, like Teddy talked about, residual value, some big plus prices there with the Falcons. Easier schedule in the second half. We get the Baltimore Ravens Up next here, Teddy, I'll tell you, the way that their quarterback room sets up, under 500 last season, I have them circled as bet on, 8-9 against the spread last year, and slight under trenders as well. What are we thinking about the Ravens this upcoming year?
It's a weird schedule for the Ravens. I don't know that I've ever seen this before, and that's why I brought it up. They start out the year, an AFC North team, with not one, not two, not three, but 4 straight games against the AFC East. The Jets, the Dolphins, the Patriots, and the Bills, their first 4 games. All early start Sunday games. That's kind of random, I thought. It stood out to me as being weird. But, of course, the AFC East, Miami we think is decent. New England we think is decent. Buffalo we think is decent. And the Jets we think are improved off of last year. So it'd be a real, the Ravens are a really interesting team. Harbaugh is a squad that, Harbaugh's a coach who year in, year out has them ready to crush teams week 1. They've been a real good bet on team in week 1 of the season. You sort of see if they plow through the AFC East early on, Baltimore schedules isn't that tough late. The AFC North in general has, not a schedule that I'm afraid of. Let's put it that way. So, the Ravens are interesting in that regard, but it's weird. An AFC North team starts out the season with 4 straight AFC East games, and Baltimore again. If they're hot early and making some noise, they're going to be in real position to have a big second half because the schedule doesn't toughen for Baltimore in any real way.
Yeah, get it out of the way early against the AFC East. There, we get the Chicago Bears up next, Teddy. They finished 3rd in the NFC North, only ahead of the Detroit Lions. 6-11, their straight up record. They were also 6-11 against the spread and 7-10 over under. They were under trenders last year. What are we thinking about the Chicago Bears NFL schedule?
I brought the Bears up because I want to talk about bye weeks, and the bye weeks are a little bit later this year than we've seen. The first bye doesn't come until week 6 of the season. We've seen like week 3 buys and week 4 buys in recent years. Well, no buys this year until week 6. But the buys go all the way through week 14, okay? Which means that's 2 weeks after Thanksgiving, okay? So a team like Chicago, and I want to talk about Carolina here as well. I didn't put them to you on my in the notes, but I have them written, and they didn't translate when I was typing over the other teams to you. But Carolina's got a week 11 bye. Chicago has a week 14 bye. So if things go south for the Bears, there's no respite, there's no break, there's no anything until from the end of training camp until the 2nd week of December. Those late buys, in my mind, a big negative. Not a little negative. That's a big negative, especially for teams that are likely to struggle, like Chicago is expected to do, like Carolina is expected to. Go look at Carolina before their bye week, man. Cleveland, the Giants, who I think will be better, the Saints, the Cardinals, the 49ers, the Chargers, the Bucks. Falcons is winnable, I guess. You got Cincy, at Baltimore, Denver. What do they got? 2 wins there? Maybe 3, maybe 4. It's not pretty. In 12 weeks, they'll be 4-8 if everything breaks right for them. The late buys for rebuilding teams. I want a mid or an early season buy if I'm going to like those teams. And a lot of times, when if I see a team that a really crappy team that faces a bunch of tough opponents early and then has a mid-season bye to kind of reset and maybe get, I don't know, Howell into the mix, sometimes those teams can come out of the bye against an easier slate and clean up down the stretch and make a bunch of money for you. I'm not convinced Carolina is going to be that team.
Sure, Teddy. Another little nugget I like to bet, guys, is a young quarterback with an early season bye. That can help them a lot because if they struggle out the gate, get that extra preparation, that extra practice time. And a lot of times they can be a better quarterback after the bye. We got next team up here. The Commanders, got to think about that twice here. The team that used to be called the Washington Football Team, 7-10 last year. Seeing them 7-10 against the spread, 7-10 over under. So at least they were consistent with their record last season. So under trenders, under 500, AF or NFC East team here, the Commanders, the Washington Commanders, Teddy.
Yeah, Washington, another team with a Week 14 bye, which is a pretty big negative. But you look at the schedule early on, especially Jacksonville Week 1, Detroit Week 2, Philly Week 3, Dallas Week 4, division mates, Tennessee Week 5, Chicago Week 6. This is an easy start. There aren't many teams that have an easier start than Washington. Relatively easy. And a lot of the weak opponents on the road there at Detroit. You can win at Detroit. You can win at Chicago. You can win, at Dallas. So Washington, even with that late season bye, they have the schedule to get off to a decent start. And I want, again, when you're betting overs, you want teams that are going to get off to a decent start, even weak teams. So Washington, because their schedule is so easy early, a team that I wasn't looking necessarily to bet over the total. We're going to look at them now. This is a schedule release that has changed my opinion about the Commodores and their season. They can get off to 4-2 start and make some noise, and 5-1, 4-2 within reason for this team. There's quite to pay attention to in August because the markets certainly aren't hot on the Washington Commanders, not even a little bit.
Teddy, next team up. Talk about interesting handicaps here. Change at the quarterback position. 9-7-1. That was the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. Of course, an early exit in the playoffs. 8-9 against the spread and 6-11 under trenders here. What are we thinking with the Pittsburgh Steelers schedule?
At Cincinnati, New England, at Cleveland. Okay, they got the Jets at home. There's a winnable game. At Buffalo, Tampa, at Miami, at Philly, versus New Orleans, versus Cincinnati, at Indy. That's the first 12 weeks with a bye in the mix. For a team with no quarterback, look at the defenses there. They're all good defenses. There's literally not a weak defense in the bunch for the first 12 weeks for Pittsburgh to get, I don't care if it's Rudolph or Trubisky or Pickett. Mike Tomlin has his first losing season as the Steelers head coach this year. That is a brutal slate to open the season. In Pittsburgh, for me, the schedule release impactful because, again, the rebuilding teams, the teams with a lot of question marks that face the tough slates early aren't teams you want to be betting over. Steelers are under or pass for this better.
Guys, 2 teams left. Hopefully you can't hear the lawn service right outside my window, but I'll try to speak loudly over it. 10-7. That's the Las Vegas Raiders last year, Teddy. We got 8-9 against the spread, 8-9 under trenders here. Of course, making the playoffs last season are Las Vegas Raiders, Teddy. What are we thinking?
Yeah, let's say the Raiders have a decent start. All right, they're 500 at the halfway point. All right, this is how their schedule closes out. All right. They got to travel to Denver, then travel to Seattle. And then they have the Chargers and the Rams. And then they have the Patriots and the Steelers in Pittsburgh on Christmas Eve. And then they have the Niners and the Chiefs. Tough, man. Raiders may start or may have a decent start. But their stretch run is brutal. There are a couple of primetime games in that mix. 3 in a row, in fact, for the Raiders. I worry about their ability to win any of them. Raiders, again, this is a schedule that is not a we're going to bet them over the win total schedule. This is a we're going to bet them under the win total. They'll be on the short list for sure for under because back half of the schedule for the Raiders, which is, a franchise that is, I'm not going to say necessarily in disarray, but a franchise that's gone through a lot. Besides moving to Vegas, it's not one of the better organizations in the NFL. That's been really clearly shown this offseason. And you look at the back half of this schedule, and the Raiders are in for a rough 2022, especially down the stretch.
Teddy, 1 team left. This is a team I was looking to sell high on. 12-5 last year. First place in the AFC West. We're talking the Kansas City Chiefs, guys. They were a money loser last year, 8-9 against the spread in the regular season and slight over trenders. If you're betting them totals wise, 10-7, but 12-5 last year straight up, Teddy. Kansas City Chiefs, what are we thinking of their NFL schedule?
So if you're playing the Chiefs under, you better hope they lose early because I just talked about like the Raiders, again, 2 teams from the same division And yet, you look at who Vegas plays down the stretch, it's brutal. Look at KC down the stretch. At Houston, Seattle at home, Denver at home, at Vegas. That's about the easiest back half of the schedule, back month of the schedule you're going to find. They should win all of those games, as long as they're relatively healthy and Mahomes doesn't get hurt, et cetera, et cetera. But KC's may struggle early, but I think there could be a whole lot of value on this team by mid to late December. They may be a team you want to ride down the stretch, and because of that late season, where I expect them to go 4-0 their last 4 games, I'm not convinced I'll be betting KC under the total, even though the markets we've seen more KC under money this year than we have in recent seasons. I'll just leave it at that.
Teddy Covers breaking it down with the best of them here, guys. His NFL season win total report out next month. Records are ridiculous. Analysis is great. I can't wait to bet it personally. So it's coming up, WagerTalk.com. Again, $9 Monday. I'm in with some plays. Got a free play up and available. Read about it. Written, detailed analysis. We got Teddy in as well. Teddy, throw it over to you, man. Great episode here. A lot of jam-packed information for NFL bettors out there. Any final thoughts here? Anything to throw out before we shut it down?
Yeah. And again, the win report will come out, and literally it's going to be 11 a.m. Pacific time. Everyone's going to get it at the same time. Be ready to bet. The lines will move, especially the big ticket. It moves on release day, 11 p.m. Pacific time on Friday, June 24th. So that's the day after the NBA draft. NBA be rearview mirror. And again, the report, you say, all right, well, the last 20 years, what's done the last 10? 33-16, 67% last 10 years. And again, the big tickets have been 15-3 lifetime. It's a good report. You get it for free if you sign up for a season package, or you can buy it as you wish. But that's all I got for you, buddy. NFL season wins. I know we took it. I know we got MLB, we got NBA playoffs, but in the back of the mind, right now we're thinking a lot of NFL, and we're working NFL every day between here and the report's release.
Sure, yeah, and it's a good point there. It's not all like front loaded with, back in 2005 you were 5-0, and 2006 you were 4-1, and just kind of riding those records. No, guys, it's been good of late as well. So, I've profited personally from it, and it's coming out next month. Teddy Covers, Drew Martin, guys. We will be back next week. We got the NFC side of things, right, Teddy?
Yeah. We'll do the NFC, and we're going to go through the win totals one by one next week, talk about where the lines are moving, what's going up, what's going down, what you want to bet early, what you can hold off on. And then we'll take a break for the summer, and we'll be back in July. So after next week, that will be
before NFL preseason,
like
right? We'll be back.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We'll start by the Hall of Fame game, if not earlier. I mean, let's put it this way. I'll be ready to go. You just tell me when you're ready. Last week of July, first week of August. We'll be back. But again, we'll be back. We're here next week, and the win report comes out next month. So.
Cool. Teddy Covers, Drew Martin, Dan Alexander behind the scenes holding it down, guys. We'll be back next week. 1 o'clock Eastern time, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Please smash that like button, guys, if you're liking the content, and feel free to reply below. Hey, any questions you have about betting the NFL, any sports betting question, feel free to fire away. Next week, we will answer any questions, any comments. Love to see them. So follow Teddy on Twitter at Teddy_covers. I'm on Twitter at Drew Martin Bets. Guys, next week, come back and join us. Best of luck with your bets. Until then, thanks for tuning in.
Stop. Don't buy that picks package or all access. Wait, what? Yep, don't click add to cart until you check out our new deals page at both WagerTalk and Sports Memo, where you can find all the latest offers, promotions, and coupons available all in one place. These deals are updated daily and can be found by clicking deals in the nav at WagerTalk or Sports Memo, going to wt.buzz/deals, or scanning the QR code on your screen.